Bienvenidos, aloha, welcome into Sunset Rewind. Alex Crawford, former Oregon State tight end, Howard Kroom here with you. And we got Rivalry Week in the Sunset League. Some of the most anticipated games of the year, regardless of record, regardless of standings for the community. We got Battle of the Bay. We got the Bell game. Howard, I'm psyched to talk about these games. I'm like chomping at the bit, especially for Battle of the Bay.
Absolutely. Well, we got the Bell game, which is exciting. It's just a huge deal in the community. Then we got Battle of the Bay, which is also big in the community, but has some playoff implications, some Sunset League standing implications. So it's a big week for everybody.
We'll get into that in 1 second. Take a moment. Follow us on social media at sunset_rewind. Our website is fully up and running. We've got stats, recaps, breakdowns, sunsetrewind.com. Bookmark that page. Pick up a magazine. It's almost the end of the season. You're going to want that keepsake because that's something that we're going to keep doing. It's only going to get better. And we might be sold out of hats, but if we're not, pick one up because those are rare, super rare, limited edition. So make sure you get your hands on one of those. And just to check in on the predictions, Howard, you went 3-0 last week. I went 3-0 last week, and you sit at a perfect 9-0 on the season because you never picked against the Los Al Griffins. I did twice. I dropped those two games, and I feel like that's a disclaimer I need to add just for the Griffin Nation to let them know, yes, my two losses are because I picked against your squad.
Well, it's never safe to pick against Los Al, but we've had some tough weeks in here back to back. We've got another one, some close games this week, I predict. So we'll see how we do after this week plays out.
Friday night, 7 o'clock, Davidson Field is going to be packed to the gills. It's the Battle of the Bay, one of the best rivalries in high school sports in Southern California. I'm not kidding. Howard, last season was your first Battle of the Bay, because I remember hyping it up to you and telling you, no, seriously, the whole community's there. What was your impressions of that game last season?
Yeah, I was impressed last year. Like you said, the whole community comes out. You could tell there's alumni, former players' parents, a little bit of tailgating going on as well. So people amped up, and the crowd was into it because last year we had a neck-and-neck game. It wasn't decided until the very last possession. So hoping we get another good game like that, and so we can entertain the fans.
CDM comes in 6-2, but 1-2 in league. Newport Harbor, they're 3-5 on the season, but they've won 2 in a row, and the implications of this game are huge. I don't know if they're the biggest of all time, but they're huge. If Newport Harbor wins, they lock up an automatic postseason spot. So they lock up a top 3 finish in Sunset League, and they'll punch their ticket to the playoffs despite finishing at best with a 500 season, more likely 4-6. Now, CDM, if they lose this game, are they likely to get into the playoffs with an at-large berth? Yes, absolutely, and they're deserving of that. They've had a great season. They went a perfect 5-0 pre-Sunset League. But given the new playoff format, and that's something that we'll talk about in an episode coming up in a couple of days, given the new playoff format, there's a chance that they could miss out. If they don't lock up this game and lock up an automatic berth, they could miss out on the postseason despite a very good year. So, Howard, a lot at stake in this year's Battle of the Bay.
Well, when it comes to Battle of the Bay, you don't even need this extra element of standings in the league and playoff position. You don't need it. These kids get amped up enough. We know coaching staffs are preaching, hey, this is just another game on the schedule. But in reality, everybody knows it's not. So people are already ready to play rivalry game. Anything can happen. You always get up to play your inner city, opponent. But you throw in the playoff implications, and like you said, this could be one of the biggest Battle of the Bays of all time. Hopefully the game lives up to the billing.
Well, you and I were on campus this week talking to players and coaches. Newport Harbor strength and conditioning coach Eddie Steele said, it's just another game. We know it's not just another game for the community or for the kids. And here's what some Newport Harbor and some Corona Del Mar players had to say about the Battle of the Bay rivalry.
It's just two teams coming from two sides of the bay of Newport Beach, just battling and seeing who's the better bay.
There's a buzz all around campus. It's a big game. The ticket sales line is already out of the quad. It's a big game always, so we just got to prepare as hard as we can too.
I think my favorite Battle of the Bay memory is freshman year. Coach Griffin was telling us there's nothing like it, and it's true. There's nothing like the environment, and it's crazy on the field. Even if you're playing or not playing, it's crazy.
Everyone hates CDM here, so everyone on the campus is looking forward to on Friday night.
It's always the funnest game of the year. The house is always packed. There's a ton of people there. It's always we always get Harbor's best. They always play their best game against us.
I mean, we haven't beat this team in, I don't know, I think around 10 years. So to us, it's like this is all that our community cares about. This is pretty much like everyone that we know comes to this game. So just our time to ball out in front of everyone we know.
Well, don't play this clip for Coach Lofthouse or Coach Steele because, Connor Chenier spilled the beans at the end. He says, look, this is all we care about. Of course, they want to win a league championship and playoffs are something that they're thinking. But you boil it down and you compartmentalize week to week and you think about this game, it feels like it's as big as any. Feels like it's going to make your season if you win it. So I'm excited for these kids. Like we said a minute ago, I'm glad that this big game does have playoff implications and league standing implications because we're all going to be on pins and needles, not just playing for pride, but playing to see where our season can go. So it's going to be a fun one on Friday at Davidson for sure.
On the Corona Del Mar campus, I was talking to their players and I was asking them, Coach O'Shea, special message this week, any extra juice? And they're like, no. He said, just come out, play the game. And I know, because when we talk to Coach O'Shea, he says everything starts and ends with Battle of the Bay. When he took over the coaching staff, that's the game they had circled. And he said, hey, Alex, make sure you wear Newport Harbor gear, because I'm a Newport Harbor alum, admittedly. He said, make sure you wear Newport Harbor gear to our meetings, to our Zoom call this week. I want to get extra fired up. So even though Coach O'Shea's message to the team is even keel, we know inside he's got a fire burning, and he wants to beat the Sailors. It would be 9 in a row if CDM won at Davidson. They're the road team this week. Obviously, they shared the stadium. It would be 9 in a row Battle of the Bay streak for CDM. Howard, first question I'll ask you, what's it going to take for Newport Harbor to snap that losing streak on Friday night?
Well, it's going to be tough because just like Newport Harbor is going to be jacked up and ready to play, so will Corona Del Mar. So first and foremost, in my opinion, Newport Harbor has to play mistake-free football. They've got to win the turnover battle. They can't shoot themselves in the foot with penalties. And they need to recreate a little bit of what they did last week against Huntington Beach, was get a couple of big takeaways, a couple of special team scores, and find a way to help your offense out by giving them 14 points or 7 points. So mistake-free football is number one. The second thing that Newport Harbor has to do is they have to have a disruptive front seven. Last week against Huntington Beach, again, they were very disruptive. The linebackers, Carlon, Chenier blitzing off the edge, the defensive line getting pressure. That's something that they're going to have to do again to get David Rasor off of his spot, to make him use his legs, which he's very dangerous at. But you cannot allow David Rasor to sit back there, find his receivers, and pick you apart because he's so capable, he's going to do that. And the last thing that Newport Harbor has to do, they have to find a way to get Peyton Irving going like they did last week. Against Huntington Beach, Peyton Irving had north of 200 yards, had a huge night on the ground. And I don't know that it's going to be that successful against Corona Del Mar, but some version of that has to happen where Newport Harbor can control the clock, control the tempo, and soften up CDM so they can get some throws over the top to Josiah Lamarque and Cashton Hingham.
I believe this game will be won and lost in the trenches. And we know Corona Del Mar, Coach O'Shea, he talks about every week controlling the line of scrimmage. That is the crux of everything that CDM does. And the Sailors in their 2-game win streak against Fountain Valley and Huntington Beach, they've been able to control the line of scrimmage, really more so than they have all season. So whoever wins that battle on Friday night, I think that's who wins. Let's talk about the Sea Kings, Howard. What do they got to do to keep their streak alive? 9 straight. 9 straight. That would be the longest streak in the series. What do the Corona Del Mar Sea Kings got to do to keep their streak going?
Well, Corona Del Mar, they just kind of need to be who they are. They need to go in there and execute. I suspect they're going to start out with Evan Sanders. Hand the ball off to Evan Sanders, let him run right at you, and then you've got David Rasor, who has RPOs available to him, can beat you with his legs. And we already know, like I just talked about, if you let him sit back there, he's going to thread the needle. He's got 3 excellent receivers, a couple others that rotate in as well. He's got a great tight end. There's just so many weapons on that offense that all Corona Del Mar has to do is execute. And I say all they have to do. Well, on the flip side, I just said a disruptive front seven from Newport Harbor is going to mess up their plan. So it's not going to be easy, but CDM just needs to execute on offense, do what they do, and then defensively, like you said, Coach O'Shea really is high on his defensive line, his linebackers, and he wants to do what I talked about for Newport Harbor, control the line of scrimmage with the front seven. And if they can bottle up, if the Sea Kings can bottle up Peyton Irving and Hayden Farley in that run game of the Sailors and force the Sailors to be one-dimensional on pass, it's going to be a tough night. So Just come out, be who you are, be physical, and execute. And Corona Del Mar feels like they'll be able to take this victory.
Predictions for this Battle of the Bay. I know this one's going to be tough. We're going to be calling the game on TAR TV, and I know the Corona Del Mar faithful will be tuned in as well. So who are you going with in this one, Howard?
Well, CDM is certainly favored. They've had a tough schedule. They're battle-tested. They've already played Edison. They've already played Los Al. They beat up on San Clemente early in the year, so they're a tough team. And if somebody's watching with Coach O'Shea right now, only let him watch for the next 5 seconds. When I have kids, I hope they grow up to be Corona Del Mar Sea Kings and they get a chance to sit under the Dan O'Shea learning tree. With that being said, I'm going with the Newport Harbor Sailors to win this game. I'm thinking it's going to be 27-24, a nail-biter, and Newport Harbor's going to do enough. They're on a 2-game win streak. They need this game to cap off their season, and I think it's going to be a big game out of Peyton Irving, a big game in the passing game for the Sailors. They're going to get a couple of takeaways, and they're going to find a way to hang on, snap the win streak, and knock off Corona Del Mar and take the third-place spot in Sunset League.
And I hope Dan O'Shea is watching for this entire prediction because I want to light a fire under his already fiery personality. I'm going with the Sailors as well. I think we saw the gap get closed a little bit during the COVID season. Sea Kings won 10-7. And I think with all of this riding on this game, all the postseason implications for the Sailors, the way they found something on offense, defense, and special teams over the last couple weeks, Corona Del Mar, they don't let you make mistakes. If you make a mistake, Corona Del Mar capitalizes. We saw that really on full display against Huntington Beach, where CDM, it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter, and CDM scored 28 straight points. So the Sailors have to play mistake-free. But I think the way they've been executing, they'll carry that into this game, and I think Newport Harbor wins at Davidson. Fans rush the field on a John Richardson field goal, 24-21, to snap the streak and bring the trophy, bring the pride back to TAR football. That's my prediction, and I can't wait to be in Davidson on Friday night.
Gatorade bath for Coach Lofthouse, John Richardson getting carried off the field on the shoulders of all the student section, going out singing the fight song. That'd be a heck of a scenario for the Sailors.
We'll see. We'll see, man. CDM's a really good football team. They are a really good football team. I'm not just saying that to make up for my prediction. I can't wait for Friday night. All right, moving on. Our other Friday night game, actually they're all Friday night games this week, but at Orange Coast College, our other rivalry game, not to bury the lead, but this one is huge as well. The battle for the bell game. Edison 5-3, 2-1 in league. They're taking on the Fountain Valley Barons 1-7, 0-3 in league. But like we talked about, Howard, this is one of those games. Throw the record books out, throw the wins and losses out. You know you're going to get Coach Gutierrez's team's best game on Friday night.
Absolutely. Truthfully, in a rivalry game, anything can happen. You know, as I was prepping for this preview show, I was thinking about when I was in college in the late 2000s, 2008, 9. And I remember sitting on a Saturday waiting for my game to start. We were playing Oregon in our rivalry game, and I'm watching a 0-11 Washington State team beat University of Washington that was very talented. We're watching a 1-10, 1-11 Kansas State team knock off Kansas, because teams really get up for their rivals. It doesn't matter if you haven't won a game all year. This game will make your season. The kids, some of the Fountain Valley players, talked to us about that when we talked to them out at their high school this week. And it's going to be huge for the community. There's going to be alumni from both teams, from both schools out, supporters from both communities. It's going to be an awesome environment.
We were on campus, Fountain Valley and Edison, talking to the players this week. Let's roll the tape.
It's a big week that we have. You know, every year for the last 60-plus years, we've had the bell game, week of activities. We have posters everywhere. We have dress days. You know, Thursday we dress up like Edison nerds. School really loves the bell week, and it's a big part of the year for everyone on campus.
Yeah, the energy's insane around campus. You know, everyone's hyped up.
I used to always go with my family. I remember we'd sit in the top of the stands, and I always used to watch the football players play. So that was awesome.
Really excited for it, being my 4th year on here, being on varsity 3 years. It's my final year, so really hope it goes our way. But either way, I'm really proud of what we've overcome. We've had 3 different head coaches in the past 4 years, so the class of 2022 has seen a lot of adversity.
It's just the dominance we've had over the past 16 years, about to be 17 now. So yeah, we just
that streak. We're gonna keep it going.
We could go lose every game, but the second we step on that field, and if we were to beat Edison, that means the whole thing for us and for the whole school.
Well, Howard, as we heard Ivan Benitez from Fountain Valley say there, his class has faced a lot of adversity. 3 different head coaches for the Barons in the last 4 years. Barons haven't won the battle for the bell since 2004. Obviously, the odds are stacked against them, but what does it take to give Fountain Valley a puncher's chance in this one Friday night in the bell game?
Even a puncher's chance is tough. You know, Edison is a real team. They're going to make a run in playoffs. They might win a CIF title this year. You know, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but they're a very, very talented team. And Fountain Valley, we know, is a team that's trying to get on the right track. Coach Gutierrez is laying a foundation there. So if there was going to be a chance for Fountain Valley, it's going to be on Edison making critical mistakes, you know, interceptions, fumbles, special teams, muff punts, things like that, where Fountain Valley is able to take advantage of short fields and scooping scores and things of that nature. And since it's a rivalry game, you know, anything could happen. I'm not expecting that. I expect this Edison team to roll. But for Fountain Valley, you know, a guy like Ivan Benitez, he's going to want to go out there and have a good game. He's going to want to play tough and dominate the man in front of him. You know, maybe you can keep it close. Maybe you can keep it within a couple of scores in the first half and, you know, find some success in the second half. So there's things that Fountain Valley is going to do to find their own individual success. Winning the game is going to be a really tough task. But it'll be a fun environment. And like I said, hopefully it can be competitive and give the fans something to cheer about.
I could go ahead and guess your Edison analysis. What do the Chargers need to do to win? Execute and play their game? Is that what you're going to say?
Just do what they do, execute, get the ball to their receivers, dominate up front, play their game. That's all the Chargers need to do. They're a talented team. They've got deep playoff aspirations, and this is an opportunity for them to put some more stuff on film, work out some of the kinks, and hopefully get a W and leave healthy.
All right, predictions. I assume we're both going to pick the same team in this one. I'll go first. I think the Edison Chargers win. I love the energy from the Fountain Valley kids we talked to. I love that they understand that even though they're coming in 1-7, this game means a lot to the community. It's special to be a part of. I do pick the Edison Chargers. Like you said, the Chargers are really, really good. They might be, when the playoff rankings come out, they might end up being the number 1 seed in Division II. So this is a very good football team. I think they're going to win on Friday at Orange Coast College, but love the rivalry game, and I love the fight and the energy from the Barons.
I can't agree more. I love the fight and the energy. When you talk to the players, if you're in the Fountain Valley locker room, you believe you have a chance to win. Every week, every football game, you always have a chance to win. If your game plan works and you out-execute the other team, you have a chance, and you have to think that way as a football player. But I agree. You know, I think the communities are going to be jacked up, and that's kind of the most that we can hope is just having a fun game. Hopefully it can stay competitive. Obviously, I'm picking Edison. But in addition to giving props to the players for believing in themselves, this Fountain Valley community, we've been impressed with them every time we go to Fountain Valley. Their players act like the game is, 28-28 in the fourth quarter, no matter what the score is. There was an energy on campus this week. So that's fun, and hopefully it can be a decent game.
Third and final game of the week at Capshew Field. Los Alamitos Griffins on the road, looking to move to 4-0 in league. They come in 7-1 overall. They're taking on the Huntington Beach Oilers, who sit at 4-4 on the season, 1-2 in league. Howard, the Oilers are reeling a bit after last week's loss to Newport Harbor. Coach was telling them, this is for the playoffs. We win this game, we're in the postseason. They lost that game. How can the Oilers find a way to make these last 2 games count? Griffins and then the Edison Chargers. That's a real tough way to end the season.
Well, it's tough because you come in to the toughest part of your season already reeling from a few losses. So I don't know that you can ever get right against Los Al. That's not the team you want to be playing, but that's who they're faced with this week. And the Oilers are going to have to find a way, number one, to block up front, shore up the offensive line so E.J. Grbic can have some holes to run through, so A.J. Perez is not constantly under duress. That's what they're going to have to do. And I think we'll see some shorter routes, getting the ball out quick this week, just trying to find some quick hitters and some ways for the offense to be successful. But they're going to be under pressure from a tough front seven, defensive backs that are all college-bound guys. And then if you talk about Los Al's offense, we go on and on every week. All the skill players are college-bound. They're absolutely high-powered, get the ball to everybody. So it's a tough week for Huntington Beach. They've got to find a way to feel successful with the little things.
Malachi Nelson putting up video game numbers over the last couple weeks and throughout the season, really. But it's just been silly how good this offense is. I think what I have my eyes on in this game, Hideo Ray had some amazing catches last week against Newport, quietly having a very good season. I'm excited to see what he can do against some Division I defensive backs.
Well, Hideo Ray's drawing double teams and triple teams at times. So, I don't think Los Al's necessarily going to double team them. They might feel like they have the athletes that can run with them, but he'll make you pay. He can beat anybody. I'll take him one-on-one against any cornerback in the Sunset League. So he's a guy you always got your eye on. Tyler Moses as another receiver, big and physical. He can do some stuff. And A.J. Perez last week against Harbor looked excellent with his legs. His deep ball looked great. So Huntington Beach, there's definitely some stuff that they're going to look forward to. They just got to block up front and be physical and give themselves some time.
Yeah, I think also, with guys like Tyler Moses, A.J. Perez, when he has time to throw or use his legs, looks very good. And Hideo Ray, there's going to be a lot of eyes on this game. Recruiters are going to be watching this game. This is a game, if you're on Huntington Beach, a chance to maybe pick up an offer because of the way you play against the Griffins.
Absolutely. That's a definite silver lining for these guys. You're going to have every college in the country potentially watching, from big schools to small schools. So this is your opportunity. Put some good stuff on film. And those are the individual battles that I talk about. So if you're Hideo Ray and you have Makai Lemon, an Oklahoma recruit, lined up across from you, hey, this is my one-on-one battle. I'm going to beat my man and put on film that I can compete with anybody. So those are the things that you focus on. And if every individual, 11 guys on each play, take pride and they do their job and they want to beat their man, you can find ways to be successful.
Prediction, I assume we're on the same page here again. I won't pick against the Griffins again this season. I take Los Al. I think they win big. They're gearing up for a deep run, hopefully, or maybe a battle against a team like a Mater Dei or a Servite in the opening round of the playoffs. But they're cruising right now, so I take the Griffins in this one.
Yep, I'm taking the Griffins as well. I'm hoping that Huntington Beach, that their offense can be successful, and they can get some stops on defense and keep it tight, keep it within a couple possessions.
Well, that does it for our Week 9 preview show. 2 great rivalry games. One of them, the Battle of the Bay, with huge postseason implications. We'll be back in a few days with our recap show. Follow us on social media at @sunset_rewind. Pick up a magazine, pick up a hat, and go to sunsetrewind.com. The website's only getting bigger, better, and more informative as the season goes on. For all the players, parents, and coaches in the Sunset League, for my broadcast partner, Howard Kroom, this is Alex Crawford saying, from Saddleback to the Pacific Ocean, from the 405 to PCH, you've been watching Sunset Rewind. Thanks for tuning in.